Welcome to another episode of Cop Stories. I appreciate everyone who has been watching, enjoying, asking questions, doing their research. I love it. It shows me that you're tuned in. And with that, as I mentioned on social media, once I get 1,000 views on each episode, then I'll go on to the next one. I don't want to not reach 1,000 because my thing is that if you all stay consistent in watching them, I will continue to do them until the documentary 12 Years in Hell come out. Now, with the experiences, the situations that I'm discussing in Cop Stories, these things will not be mentioned in 12 Years in Hell to include the cases. But I'm focusing on the experiences, the situations, and not the cases, even though I'm going to be talking about some cases, but I'm saying that to let you know that I'm not going to be mentioning names and things like that. See what I'm saying? So don't be inboxing me, calling me, man, you didn't say this name. Look, it's not about that, okay? If you want names, watch the ID channel. Now, let's talk about today's case. Oh, where do I start? In March of 1994, I was called to investigate a double murder in the 2000 block of Rosedale Street Northeast, the Rosedale section as we call here in Washington. Now, when I get there, of course the victims are not there, but I learned that a 31-year-old mother is murdered. Her two young daughters, age 10 and I believe age 2 or 3, they're not harmed. But her 13-year-old niece is also murdered. The mother is shot. The mother is bounded. Arms tied behind the back, placed inside the bathtub, shot in the head. The 13-year-old girl, her niece, is lying on the couch, asleep. Hear the gunshots. As the shooter's walking out the door, one of the shooters just extends his arm, shoots her in the head. Now, let me tell you how I got all of this. Investigation go on. I have no information. We don't have anything. Now, keep in mind this date, March of 1994. It's very important that you remember March. So what happens is we're doing an investigation. We don't get anything. I see people in the community, but I noticed someone kept walking in the area, and someone that I know, and I'm not gonna call people out on the scene that I don't want people to see me talking to possible witnesses out there while everyone is looking. So as the investigation goes on, of course the media is hyping everything up about the double homicide, an adult, a juvenile murdered in this particular location. So I'm developing information during the investigation of who may be involved. There's a possibility that suspects from Rosedale may be involved, or suspects from 18th and D may be involved. So while I'm going on an investigation, got a couple of phone calls about some guys in Rosedale. Now I'm curious to try to catch up with this person who I saw on the scene walking around. So I finally catch up with this person, bring him downtown, interviewed him, and he started giving up information. He gives up information on who he saw come out of the apartment building as soon as he heard the gunshots, and saw them putting away guns and all that kind of stuff. So he provided who they were, the names of the two gentlemen and everything. And what happened was he was not sure of a twin. It was a set of twins involved. He wasn't sure of, what twin it was. So we was able to do some investigating, find out that one of them, it couldn't have been one of them. I think because, it wasn't, I can't remember the exact reason right off, but we were able to narrow down that it couldn't have been one twin. Maybe because he was in jail. I just can't remember the exact facts, because it was just, with all this, it's just so much. But we was able to narrow down that it was one and another gentleman based on this particular witness. So we end up developing other information, and everything is pointing towards these guys. So we present everything to the grand jury. This guy who gave me the information on who he identified through photo array or pictures or whatever, these are the two guys I saw coming out of this place with guns after hearing those gunshots. Like I say, after the grand jury, arrest warrants were obtained, the two guys were picked up. Now, we get the two guys in office, separated, don't interview them at the same time, whatever. And what happens is, of course, they're denying being involved in the shooting, which a lot of people are going to do. Okay, well, let's talk about if you were not involved. Where were you? Give me alibis. Give me something to work with. So they give alibi statements. Now, while they're giving their alibi statements, detectives are out checking out everything they are saying, where they were, who they were with, what they were doing. So we're out doing that while they're in there, because if they are not involved, we want to be able to check their stories out, because one thing about homicide investigations, you don't always prove that someone did it. Sometimes you're going to prove a person didn't do it. It's just the facts. You have to follow the facts. Investigating, continue, and check the alibis out. They don't work out. Alibis, they boop. So now I'm doing a hearing in court to see if these guys are gonna be held without bond. I go through the hearing, judge listens to everything that I present in the case. The judge ruled that these guys should be held without bond until trial. Now we're at this particular moment, we're still investigating, doing some things. Like I said, we still got the eyewitness and everything. We got some other information to go along with that. And we, at that point, believe, listen to what I'm saying. At that point, we believe we have the right guys. Never in my career, this is 1994, my third year in homicide. At this particular moment, I've never ever arrested anyone who did not commit the murder. So as the investigation is going on, now there's another murder that occurred in Marshall Heights section of DC, the other side, further away in Northeast. Now remember, the first murder occurred March 1994, the second case April 1994. In the April case 1994, it's a triple homicide. 16-year-old girl, mother, and aunt. Home invasion by like 9 people coming there. Home invasion, just like the one in March, home invasion. Looking for drugs in the first one. Also has something to do with the mom's relationship, and they thought she was a witness and talking and snitching or whatever. But home invasion, they're looking for drugs. The one in April 1994, home invasion, looking for drugs. All they ended up taking was like $500 they found in there and some CDs or something like that. But the one in April, the young girl, 13 years old, is on her knees praying to the shooters, just please spare my family. Please don't shoot my younger brothers and sisters. And she's basically saying, take my life, but don't mess with my family. The aunt tapped one of the shooters on the foot, telling him to spare them. The shooter's like, bitch, get off me. End up shooting all 3 in the head. All 3 dead. They spared the younger children. Now let's put all this together, okay? One of the attorneys for the guys arrested in the Rosedale case developed information that his guy is innocent, and that we may want to look into it a little further in reference to what went on, because the guys in the April case may be the ones involved. So we do what we have to do. So what happens is we're investigating both cases again. Once we start dealing with the one that occurred in March in Marshall Heights, we end up getting one of those guys and we flipped him. Flip him mean he's telling on the guys who are involved. He started cooperating with us, and he admits that not only did they do the murder in Marshall Heights, they also did the murder in Rosedale. a month apart. So now I'm like, oh shit. I have 2 guys sitting over the DC jail who are innocent. Man, it tore me apart. So now, I'm like a defense attorney. I'm like a defense investigator. I am pissed, okay? So the first thing I do is I go get the guy who gave me the information about who he saw, okay? I then contact a couple other people who's giving me information on who they found out to, be involved. And everything still pointing towards Rosedale. So I'm talking to the guy in my office, and man, I get on this guy, I drill him. Now he done went in the grand jury and testified under oath, okay? He done all of this. So he's still sticking with his story that the guy who from Rosedale are the ones who committed the murder. So we go back to the guy who's involved in the case in Marshall Heights, and he now mentions the guy who I have in my office. He's telling us that the guy who I'm dealing with, the person who gave up the other people, is someone who they paid to lie. They gave him drugs, they gave him crack to set up a story stating that the guys in Rosedale were the ones involved, so they wouldn't get charged because they was on a killing spree during this particular moment. They done a whole bunch of things, do some over on 18th and D. So now I'm oh my God. So now I go back to this dude, and I'm getting on him hard now. Look, man, this is what I found out. I was giving boom, 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 boom. So he finally admitted, yes, I lied. They paid me crack. I apologize. Man, that apologizing mess wasn't enough for me. Man, I wanted to go across this dude's chin. Okay, I never ever wanted to hit anyone. I wanted to knock this dude out because here it is. I have 2 innocent dudes. I don't care how bad they were. I don't care what their record is or has been in the past. I don't care what they have done. For this case, they were not the ones. So immediately we did what we had to do, went to the courts, we got them out. But what I was interested in was, why did you guys lie in your alibi statements? Why your statements didn't match up? I mean, why lie? I mean, if you did not do this, tell the truth. One of them told me that he lied in the alibi because he didn't want his woman to find out he was with another woman. I'm like, dude, you in prison. You in jail. He was willing to wait to go to trial to prove his innocence in trial because he knew he was going to beat the case in trial. He didn't mind sitting over to jail. He just didn't want his woman to know he was with another woman because the woman who he said he was with was like, he wasn't with me. So his alibi didn't work out. And I'm sitting there like, come on, dude. Oh wow, that whole situation. So they end up getting out because they were not involved in the March '94 case, the double murder in Rosedale. So then we moved on to concentrate on the April '94 case in Marshall Heights. And what we ended up doing was working on this cooperator who gives up everything. We ended up charging the twins from 18th and D with the murder over in Marshall Heights. So end up on paper, they end up getting also charged with the case in Rosedale because he confessed they went to the Rosedale case. It was 3 of them. They went in there, they tied the mother up in Rosedale, gagged her. They demanding, where the drugs is and everything, and they thought she was telling on them in reference to another case that they are accused of doing as well. And it's just so much went on, and they ended up shooting her in the bathtub. They left the 10-year-old alone, they left the small 2 or 3-year-old alone, and as they're going out the door, the 13-year-old must have heard the gunshots because the guy said she's lifting her head up on the couch, and while she's lifting her head up, they're going out the door, boom, they shoot her in the top of the head and they leaves out. And then they went on to this situation where they found this guy, paid him to lie to put everything on these other guys. And just this whole situation was just tragic. These guys end up wow, the 18th and D guys were just vicious. 2 of them were a set of twins, they're only 16 years old. Man, all these guys were young. I think only 4 ended up getting charged. The others who were involved in home invasion, they did not get in charge. In the Marshall Heights case, they ended up going in there looking for drugs and money and went to the wrong location. They went into a family home that had nothing to do with drugs. They terrorized this family, a good family, and they ended up killing 3 innocent people. So altogether in these 2 cases, that's 5 people they murdered, 3 adults, 2 juveniles, age 16, age 13. And like I said, I've never ever arrested the wrong person in any case. And this was the only case in my entire career where that occurred, and it touched me. It bothered me, and it allowed me to look at myself much harder, look at these cases much harder, differently, because a person's motive to, on purpose, lie on other people is just something I could not get with. So what I did was I went to the U.S. Attorney's office, even though I knew this guy. Okay, what you did is wrong. I don't accept that. I don't roll like that. I asked the United States Attorney's Office to charge him with perjury. Okay, he made his bed. He wanted to lay in it. Charge him. Okay, you played me. You played the system. You locked up. You had us arrest 2 innocent guys. Like I stated earlier, I don't care what their record is, what their history is. I don't play like that, okay? Some people probably been like, oh, they deserve to go to prison or jail because they've done some other thing they never been caught with. Nah, Mitch Credle don't roll like that, okay? I never did, I never have, and never will. So the U.S. Attorney's Office declined to prosecute this guy for perjury, okay? That was the last time I ever in my life seen him. I don't ever want to see him. Okay? Some people know who he is. I'm quite sure because of the case or whatever. And man, let me tell you something. I'm still hot behind it. Okay? You played me. I don't do that. I don't put handcuffs on innocent people. I don't do that. I'd rather sit in jail myself before I put handcuffs on innocent people. And for them to sit there and not help them get out, yeah, that bothered me also. And I'm glad that one of their attorneys, who I know personally, was able to get that information, and we're working together to get the innocent people out. And that's police work sometimes, man. I wasn't happy about it, and I'm glad everything worked out. Again, thank you all for tuning in to Cop Stories. Like I said, I didn't mention no names. Some of this stuff is in the media. Some of you already know about this stuff. But I just want to talk about the situations, and until the next episode, peace.